everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another week of working on my February goals where I think I'm going to be spinning the wheel. I'm not exactly sure how to tackle this weekend coming forward, but I will get to that after I show my progress on what I worked on yesterday. So yesterday I did 200 stitches on Autumn Harmony because my plan now going forward for the rest of the month is I'm going to just work on her every day instead of having her on the wheel to spin because I really want to make sure I get my stitching done on Autumn Harmony, and she is charted by Maxine Gad. So I did 200 stitches. Is this throw? Yes, it is. So I did 200 stitches. It was in this area here. It might be hard to see. I did here, and then it was filling in some of the red here. And then this is the bottom, so I'm really close to being done with the red in this bottom section here. And then after I finish the red in this section, then I will get to work on the other side of her, I think. So there will be more red that needs to be stitched on this side of her, and then on this side, which this side I haven't really done very much on her. So let's show her real quick. Love it. I'm still excited to work on her. And she is being stitched on 18 count 2 over 1 full cross. So today my plan is to do 200 stitches on her, possibly more. And I say that because tomorrow I know is going to be I'm not gonna have a lot of stitching time tomorrow, I don't think. So I might try and do a little bit more on her tomorrow in case, or I might try and do a little more on her today in case tomorrow I can't do very much. So we'll see. And then yesterday I ended up getting a lot of stitching in somehow yesterday, and I didn't even start stitching until nighttime. So I didn't start stitching on Autumn Harmony until it was like 7 o'clock at night. I somehow did 200 stitches on her, and then I think because it was tent stitch, it goes quicker. I ended up being able to do, there's a hair that's like in my eye. I ended up being able to do almost 1,000 stitches on Little Gamer, which is by Medusa Dollmaker, and I have the Gecko Rouge kit. It is now available on the Medusa Dollmaker Etsy. Anyways, I ended up doing 1,000 stitches almost, and here is where Little Gamer got to. I ended up finishing all of this color in the keyboard, which was fun, and then I ended up just picking something close to the keyboard because I still had some of the floss on my needle, and I started working on this here, which is I think the outline of the Game Boy, and then I went up to the little mushroom here and then was working on the mushroom. So that was what I got done, and I was really excited, and I actually ended up being able to meet my monthly goal on this yesterday. So the monthly goal is to do 2,500 stitches, and because I did almost 1,000, it got me the rest of the stitches I needed. So this one is now done. That means that because I took Autumn Harmony off the wheel because I'm planning on stitching on her every day, there are only 3 charts left on the wheel. There is Kita, there is Tonight We Ride, and then there is the HAED Stitch Along. And Tonight We Ride only needs like 200 stitches on it, so that one is basically, it's almost done, you know? And it just leaves 2 projects that need a lot of stitches. So Kita still needs 1,400, and then the Heaven and Earth Stitch Along it hasn't been picked at all, and so it still needs 5,100 stitches. So it's a lot. So I can't decide though what I want to do in terms of spinning the wheel because I won't be able to record videos for the next like 5 days almost. I won't be able to record again until Tuesday of next week, and so I would need to spin for today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday because my kids have no school Monday for President's Day. And then tomorrow we have an appointment that's out of town, so we won't be here. And so I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should spin the wheel for each of those days 5 times, but I already know the projects that are going to be picked because there's only 3 projects. One of them can be finished in a day because it only has 200 stitches left. So I think what I might just do is just kind of rotate the projects myself instead of spinning the wheel because it seems silly to spin the wheel when it's basically only going to be between 2 projects when it's Kita and the HAEDSAL. So I think I might be done with the wheel now for the rest of the month because there's not really that much left on it. And so what I'm really hoping to manage to get done though, and I don't know if it's going to be possible, is because I want to start Dragon Hall by Long Dog Sampler. I would like to at least start it on the 25th, somewhere around there. So I would really like all of my goals to be met by then so I can have my new start. But I am also thinking that what I might do is prioritize Tonight We Ride and Kita because those are charts that I want to finish this year. and I had made goals at the end of last year, and those were on my goals for the end of last year. The HAED stitch along was a new goal because I decided at like the last minute that I was going to do it. So if I end up not being able to meet a goal on something, I am fine with pushing the HAED stitch along to the side and not meeting the goal on that chart because it's less of a priority. So I think that's what I might do is just focus more, get Tonight We Ride done, pull out Kita, try and get her done, and then start working and try and get as much done as I can on the HAED stitch along. And then at the 25th, I will have my new start, whether or not the HAED stitch along has the goal met. I think that's what my plan might be. So that is what I will be doing. I will pull out, I think I might do Tonight We Ride first because that is the one that can meet the goal quickest. So here is where Tonight We Ride is right now. And I will be working more on the house here, which is a lot of black. And this fabric is Halloween by Witch's Garden Crafts on Etsy. It's 16 count, 2/1 full cross. So I'll be working on this first this weekend, and then I will most likely pull out Kita once this is done. And then also something I almost forgot is, so I am stitching the board game stitch along from Taylor and Cromwell, and the first release is on Monday, I think, so February 19th. I think I might work on that on Monday because I feel like I have to. Like, it's a stitch along. When stitch alongs first come out, I'm usually like really like, whoa, gung ho. So while I have that excitement, I think I might work on it on Monday. So these might get pushed to the side for a little bit while I work on the board game stitch along. I'm really excited to see what the first release is going to look like. And I haven't done a lot of the border, but I did make sure that I had the center square done because they said that the center is going to be where the first release is. So I'm all ready for the first release. And then other things that need to happen though in this next week is I need to get my floss pulled for Dragon Hall by Long Dog Sampler. And I normally use floss cards, but I think for that one, hold on. I need to find where I put them. I put them in a Ziploc bag. I ordered from, who is it? I think it's Adam Hart Cross Stitch. Let me look in my emails real quick. Yeah, Adam Hart Cross Stitch. I ordered some of the floss drops from them. They have some available that are like seconds where they're like imperfect ones. They got an order of them and they were not up to their standards, so they sold them for less, and I decided to try these out because I had never tried them before. I ordered the ones that are for blends, so you can put 2 different ones on there, but I think I might just do 2 separate DMCs because the Dragon Hall doesn't have blends in it. But I thought these would be good to have the blends because Make It Pink or Pinky the Pink charts have blends, so whenever I end up starting Link or Zelda, I can use these for the blends that are in those charts, and I have like 50 of them, so I have quite a few, and I thought it would be nice to try them out just for a charts. And for my long dogs, I usually do like to have them kitted up separately because those are charts where if I'm traveling or going somewhere, because they use less colors than, you know, full coverage charts, they are easier to travel with, and so I like to have the floss with them so I can take them places. I don't really go that many places though, but I'm always prepared apparently. Anyways, so that is all that I have for this video clip. I'll be back Tuesday with hopefully a lot of progress. Hopefully I've met some of my goals. We'll see what happens though, so I will see you all then. Welcome back. It is now Tuesday, February 20th, I think. And over the weekend, I managed to work on 4 projects and I finished 2 more of my goals, so I will show that. I also was getting floss together for Dragon Hall, which I will show. I ended up changing like everything, so we'll see what that ends up looking like. I'm going to start with Tonight We Ride. That was the first thing that I stitched on after I had last filmed because it only needed like 200 stitches to reach my goal on the chart for this month, and so I did that first. And so here is where it is now. I worked more on the house here on this side. And like I said, that was only like 200 stitches. I think I did 300. I was like, oh, you know, let's just keep on working on it because I didn't want to change projects at the end of the night. And this is Halloween by Witch's Garden Crafts, 2/1 full cross. And so then this one will come back out next month to get its next, like, I think I'm doing like 1,500 stitches on it every month. The next project I will show is another one that I met my goal on, which means I now only have 2 goals left, but it's on large charts. So it's on Autumn Harmony and it's on the Heaven and Earth stitch along. So anyways, I need to take it off the frame though, because I just realized the hoop is covering up one of the areas that I stitched on. So the next chart that I had worked on was Kita by Pinky the Pink, and I finished the goal on her, which I had to do, I think, 1,400 stitches over the weekend to get this goal met on her. And so I finished this part of her dress, so now her dress here is done. It reaches, this is the bottom part of this dress, but the bottom of the chart actually goes down farther once I do the center. And then after that, I decided I would work on the handle to the little spear thing that she's holding, which it doesn't show up great right now, but there is back stitching that will go around it. So I will show the top part where you can see the back stitching. So the back stitching will make it stand out more. And that handle is really long. So the handle goes down almost, I think, to where her dress goes down. So right now on the handle, I am here and the bottom is somewhere around here. And then I think at the bottom there might be like metallic or something at the bottom, which, you know, that won't be fun to stitch, but I was excited to get to the bottom of her dress. And then I just want to get this like spear part done because then the side part will be done. I will most likely do the back stitching on the handle next month whenever I work on her next month, just so that some of the back stitching is getting done while I am working on her, because I don't want to have all the back stitching at the end. I know that it will drive me crazy if I have to do a ton of back stitching all at once. So there was Kita. And then I was also working on Autumn Harmony by Maxine Gadd every day, trying to do 200 stitches, which I don't remember exactly when it was. I know it was only like a video or two ago when I mentioned that I ran out of 814 and I was like, oh, but I found a skein of it. That skein is already gone. I was stitching on her this weekend because I'm stitching her Extreme Cross Country by Color, stitching the 814 first. I was stitching on her and I was like, this is almost gone. And I didn't realize it. I hadn't ordered more yet. And so I was just like, how did I already go through that skein so fast? But it's on 18 count, it's 2/1, so you don't really get that many stitches in a skein, you know, compared to like if I'm doing 28 count 2/1 tent, you know, that's gonna go a lot farther. So I was like, how did I run out already? And I also realized I need to take this off of the Q-snap because you won't be able to see what I stitched if I don't. So the first thing that I had done on her this weekend is I kept working on the bottom portion of the red. This is the bottom right corner. And I finished all the 814 in this corner. So that's all done, which was exciting. And so then I decided I would move and up by her face and start working on the 814 by the right side of her face. And I think it was like right in here was where I was working, was right there. And then my plan is I will do the 814 on this right side, and then after that I will work over on the left side. So soon, hopefully, the 814 will be done on one side, and then I'll just have to do the other side, which is going to be much harder to do because over here I can count off of other stitches to place the 814. So like there's some stuff done, so I can use this as, you know, deciding where I need to be at, you know. This side I haven't really done very much, so the 814 is going to be the first stitches on this side, and so there's going to be a lot more counting and making sure that I'm getting things in the right place. So that's going to be a little nerve-wracking. And because I ran out of 814, I ended up stealing it from my Charting Creations kit. I had bought Yennefer from Charting Creations as the kit, and I was looking to see what charts I had might have 814 with it, and I saw that Yennefer had 814, and I just stole all that 814, and then I'm going to have to go to Michael's or Joann's sometime soon to get more, because I'm most likely going to need at least 3 or 4 more skeins of 814, because I don't even remember when I ran out. That's the problem, is I was trying to remember when I ran out of the 814 last time. I think I was at like 9,000 or 10,000 stitches left. Right now I still have like 6,000 or 7,000 stitches left of 814 to do, so I only really got like 3,000 or 4,000 stitches done with that skein, I think. Maybe, like I said, I don't remember when I ran out. And so I most likely need at least 3 more for her. I would like to have an extra one that's in my full set because I'm clearly using a lot of it right now. Plus I need to put it back into Yennefer, and I need to remember that. I did write that down. But yeah, I was thinking this time though, when I pull out a new skein, I am going to write down what my stitch count is left at for it. And then I can see how many stitches I can get out of a skein on this chart. And then that way I can kind of calculate for other colors how much of each color I'm going to need based off of how many stitches I can get out of a skein, you know. So I'm thinking about doing that because I don't want to keep running out of colors on her because it's frustrating, and my local craft store is like 20 minutes away to get to Michael's or Joann's. And so I don't really like going there just to get floss, you know? So there was that. And then yesterday was Monday the 19th, which was the first release of the board game Stitch Along from Taylor and Cromwell. So I started that, which was fun. So I will insert the picture of what it will look like, the center tile when it's finished, which it's just a little tile that says game night because, you know, it's just your center, your starting point. And then the next releases will be all the games. And I think the releases are going to be every 2 weeks, which is a little scary because this center block, and I'm assuming all the tiles are the same size. This center one is 1,400 stitches on Pattern Keeper. So that's going to be a lot of stitches every 2 weeks. So I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to keep up, but here is what I did. I was just working with one color because this color here is used throughout most of the block for the background. So I think I'm going to just stitch that color in, and then I can start getting everything else done after that. And this is being stitched on the called for fabric, which is from Witch's Garden Crafts, and it's just called Board Games fabric. And this is 16 count, 2/1 full cross. I will say that there are partial stitches in this chart, so there's like some quarter stitches, and there's also going to be back stitching, so I kind of wish I had picked like a 28 count just because quarter stitches are easier on 28 count. But I also like having a 16 count because it's easier if I like take it in the car or to stitch with. I don't really like stitching over 2 in the car, so that's all that I stitched on. I did spend quite a bit of time looking at floss for Dragon Hall by Long Dog Sampler, and I will show why. So I was looking through the floss that I have, trying to decide what colors I was going to use for it. I knew that I kind of wanted to add some pinks and purples because the Gast colors, if you use Gast, have pink and purple. And then I saw this bag that I have here, which last year Anchor Floss, I think it was last year, went on clearance at Michael's because they were getting rid of it. So it was really cheap. I don't remember how cheap it was. It might have been like 10 cents a thing or something. So I got a lot of it, but the thing is when I was buying it, I was just buying colors where I was like, these are pretty colors. There was really no, like, I wasn't really thinking long term of like how I'm going to use them. So the colors are really pretty, but I realized it's mostly reds, pinks, and purples with a few blues, which doesn't help me if I'm actually trying to make Dragon Hall look the way that it's supposed to be charted. I have no browns, no tans, just like none of those colors, no creams, nothing like that. It's just all pinks, purples, blues, and then I think there's like 3 greens. So that's what I have to work with, but I really wanted to try and use what I have. And so I decided I was going to convert it to be more of like pinks and purples. So I have been editing the mock-up on Pattern Keeper. There is when you click on the 3 lines next to a chart, you can click on edit, I can't remember exactly what it says, edit like the floss list or edit something. And then you can change the colors, and it will change the colors in the actual mock-up of the chart so you can see what each color will look like. So I've been messing around with that, and I changed basically all the colors. And so I'll insert the mock-up as it is right now, but I keep changing it. So I started working on it like Saturday. It's Tuesday, and every day I go in and change like 1 or 2 colors because one time I had an orange in and I was like, this is too orange. So then I replaced it with a different color. And so yeah, I've just been going back in and messing with the colors. I also think that I might use some silk floss that I have. This is one that I had dyed. I dyed this purple for Opening Gambit. This was originally like an ecru color of Silks for You that I had got when I stitched Castles in the Air by Long Dog Sampler. I dyed it purple and did opening gambit with it. I still have some left, so I thought about trying to put it into Dragon Hall too. And then when I had dyed the purple, I had also dyed a couple other like small amounts of colors just to see how they would look. And I have this color, and so I think I might put this into Dragon Hall somewhere. And then the anchor colors that I have that I am like going between. I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to hold most of them up, but yeah, it's a lot of like pinks, like dusty kind of pinks, if that makes sense. Some purples, but like more grayish purples, so it's not like straight up purple. I don't know. I'm just having fun messing with the colors and just seeing what I end up coming up with, which I'm also excited to see how some of these colors will look on the fabric, which my fabric is from the sewingshop.ca, and so yeah, I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out, but it's also going to be like a little experiment of me seeing what actually ends up being what I want to use when I get to stitching it. So I also have these colors in there. I really like the brighter colors, but when I put them into the mock-up, and part of it is I feel like Pattern Keeper, you can switch the floss from DMC to anchor, so I did do that. So it's showing the anchor colors, but I feel like the anchor colors in Pattern Keeper are showing up a lot darker than the colors in real life. So I don't know how accurate the anchor colors are in Pattern Keeper, which is what I'm using. And then I have my one green that I had picked because the chart has one color where if you use Gast, you're supposed to use a color called like moss. So to me that sounds greeny. But like I said, I only have like 3 anchor greens. And so like I said, I really just want to use my anchor floss though, because I've had them and I don't have a lot of opportunities to use them because I do so many full coverage charts and most of them just use DMC. And I know you can convert DMC to anchor, but because I can't really easily buy more anchor because Michaels doesn't sell it anymore, I don't really want to do that on a full coverage. And then a lot of these colors for Dragon Hall don't call for that much floss because I am stitching it on 20 count 1/1. Most of them will use less than one of these little things. So that is my plans for Dragon Hall, which I'm planning on. That is all that I have for right now. Today, what will I be working on today? I didn't even talk about that. I'm going to be doing 200 stitches on Autumn Harmony by Maxine Gadd. I will also be working on, if I can even find it, the Heaven and Earth Stitch Along from, I just said from, the Heaven and Earth Stitch Along, which is, mine is Merry Mushroom Village Picnic number 3, which is the yellowy orangey mushroom, and here's where I am. I have not worked on it at all this month, so I need to try and do 5,000 stitches in the next like 5 days, so wish me luck. And this is on 28 count 2/1 10 stitch. So I'll be back tomorrow with another update on what I get done on this chart. It is now March the 1st, which means it's been a really long time since I have updated my cross stitch progress. The last time I filmed was I think last week, and the reason was, there was multiple reasons. Number one, I am still sick with whatever I had earlier in the month. So I had a cough. The cough has not gone away, and so yeah, I've just been coughing a lot and still like sniffly. So I wasn't really stitching a lot because I wasn't really feeling great. I did end up starting some crochet and knit projects, which I will talk about after I do my cross stitch update. And then also something that I think a lot of us probably have happen, where you put things on hold at the library and then all of them come in at once. So I have books, and they are kind of bigger books, and so I have books that I need to read, and then I also got this Outlander knitting book from the library. So we will start off with what I have been working on for cross stitch. I was doing my 200 stitches every day on Autumn Harmony to meet my goal of doing 4,700 stitches on her during February, and I did meet my goal for Autumn Harmony for February. And so here is where she is now. I don't remember exactly where she was the last time I showed it because it's been like a week plus, but I had finished the stitching on this side of her. I'm just gonna take her out of the frame so you can see the whole thing, because like I said, I don't remember where I was the last time that I did my update, so. And I'm also gonna have to move the frame anyways because I need to readjust it to get to a different section. So I had finished the stitching on this side of her face, the red. I had went up here and done the stitching up here in 814 because I am stitching her Extreme Cross Country by Color right now, stitching only the 814. And then I worked on the 814 here, which it keeps going down by her face because a lot of her hair is the 814. So that's what I was working on for Autumn Harmony. I think I now have like, it's somewhere in like the 6,000 to 7,000 stitches left of 814. No, I got it down lower. I am in the 5,000s. I wrote it down here. And the reason I wrote the number down is because I ran out of my 814. I finally ordered more 814 from 123 Stitch. I ordered 6 of them so that I will not run out. And I started a new one, so I wrote down how many stitches I was at when I opened the new skein. I still had 5,400 stitches left of 814. And then I'm going to keep track. And so once I run out of that 814, I can figure out how many stitches I was able to do with one skein on Autumn Harmony. And she's being stitched on 18 count, 2 over 1 full cross. So there she is, and she will be pulled out again for March to do, I think it's like over 5,000 stitches in March. So there she goes. And then I did have my new start, which was Dragon Hall by Long Dog Sampler. And here's my little tiny baby start. I really was not stitching very much at the end of the month because I wasn't feeling great and then just doing other things. And so I only did 400 stitches and it was over 2 days. So I did 200 stitches one day, 200 stitches a different day, and that was it. I did start it in the center because I wanted to have it centered on this fabric because I love this fabric, and like I said, I just want it to be centered because it's got all the stuff going on. And this is a 20 count fabric and I'm stitching it 1 over 1 full cross, and the fabric is Iron Ore from the sewingshop.ca, and it's beautiful. I love like little like drips. And then like I had mentioned previously, I am stitching this with anchor floss instead of the called for DMC just because I really want to use up a lot of stuff that I have, which is part of why the knitting and crocheting happened, because I want to use up things that I have already purchased. So this was Dragon Hall. I do not know when it will be pulled out again because it's not in my yearly like plans, so I don't know what's gonna happen with that. And then the last thing that I will show is the one project that I did not meet my goal on in February. That is the HAED stitch along. I am stitching it on 28 count 2 over 110 stitch, and all I did was I think I did like 500 stitches one day in the black because I was thinking that I would do the black Extreme Cross Country by Color, and I did not get very far. Okay, I am going to say there are probably going to be like weird like little edits in here because I just coughed. I know I'm gonna have to edit that out, so it might be like a weird cut of when I have to edit things out, so just throwing that in there. One thing that I was going to mention for the stitch along is that there was the whole thing where if you stitch 4 pages, you get the other charts that are part of the stitch along. Well, HAED retired a bunch of artists last week, I think it was, and one of them is an artist that was a part of the stitch along. It was Sheena Pike. She had a dragon chart, and so the dragon chart is gone, and I was kind of annoyed because their solution was that people could buy the dragon chart from the stitch along, which I was just kind of like, the point of the stitch along was you get the charts free if you do it. Anyways, and then the chart that they are now replacing the Sheena Pike chart with is AI artwork, and they did not disclose in the stitch along group that it is AI, which I was annoyed by that because in my previous video when I talked about AI, I had mentioned that one of the things that kind of bugs me is just like the non-disclosure. So they posted the artwork in the stitch along group, and it's like this gnome, and I had asked who's the artist just because they didn't post like any artist with it, and so I just asked who is the artist, because even if it's AI, it was made by someone, so there should be someone who's credited with the artwork in my mind. And it's also one of the rules in the group and in the official HAED group that if you post your like stitching, you always are supposed to post the chart name and the artist. Who are we going to be crediting if they are not telling us who made it? Anyways, so I was kind of annoyed by that, and then I asked who the artist was. No one from HAED actually said anything, but there was a couple people who were like, yeah, it's most likely AI, and then one person did confirm that in the official HAED Facebook group that they did say that it was AI. So there's the stitch along. I am behind on it now at this point, but like I said, it's not really a full priority compared to my other things because I had made my goals earlier in December and then this got added on at the end. So this was kind of like this is going to be a video game analogy. So like the other goals are kind of like the main game. You know how like you buy a game and then they come out with DLC? This is kind of like the DLC to my goals. It was like an add-on at the end, but I really need to focus on like the main game, which was my original goals. So there was what I did for cross stitching. That is all that I have for cross stitch, but now I'm going to go on to knitting. I think I'll do knitting next. So I was going through like, it was when I was getting out my Anchor floss, it's all stored over on my little shelf thing that's over there, and I have yarn everywhere. It's something I've talked about in other videos where like I was like kind of going through my stuff, and there are like little scraps of yarn from different projects. I haven't made that many things in my head, and so I would always want to make scrap projects, but I always kind of like, do I actually have enough for a scrap project? And anyway, so I have different bags with different amounts of scraps. So you can see here, like there's tinier scraps. This is some minis that I had got from So Libby Dyes Yarn, and those are a lot of fun colors. I also have my local yarn store, Northwest Yarns, sells these tiny little things of yarn, and I was like, oh, those would be fun for color work, and I've never used it, but it is, how much is this? 10 grams. So it's like these little 10-gram things that you can buy there, and I bought, I think I have a couple of these. I don't know where the other ones are though. And then I have this bag with more scraps. Some of these are not really scrap because they're larger amounts, because I made the Find Your Fade shawl, and the colors you use at the beginning, you don't use very much yarn from those, but I have like these larger amounts of colors that need to be used. And then I also have this bag here with more little balls of colors. So I was like, I need to use it up. And recently I have been watching a lot more knitting and crochet channels, and so it kind of had me in the mood for knitting and crochet. I think I lost some of my squares that I made. I'll find them later. Anyways, and so I was kind of like, do I want to make a crochet blanket or do I want to make a knitting blanket? Because that's kind of what you see a lot with scrappy yarns, because a lot of times when you're throwing just colors together, like a blanket is kind of the best solution for throwing a bunch of colors together. And so I ended up deciding, why not do both? So I am making granny squares because, like I said, I've been watching a lot of crochet channels. So I've been watching, one channel is Michelle, I think Yasik. I don't know how to say her last name, but I'll link her channel down below. And she does a lot of crochet. This year she said she's going to be doing more sewing, but she's really fun because she does a lot of like, she really likes like the 80s. So a lot of colors she uses are kind of like orange, browns, yellows, like those type of colors. And she's done like a Fall Out Boy sweater. She made a Stranger Things like Hellfire Club sweater. She does a lot of really fun projects. She does a lot of granny square projects. For her birthday last year, she made the sweater your mom gives you in Animal Crossing. So it's like a little like granny square sweater, and it was really cool. Anyway, so I started making some granny squares with my leftover colors. So I have a few. There's more somewhere. Like I said, I think I dropped some. So I've been making granny squares. That's always fun. And crochet was something, this was like my first craft. My grandma crochets, so I would be at her house when I was like a child and I would see her, and so you know, you learn how to chain, and so you'd just be doing like a super long chain stitch, and then you would learn like a single crochet, and that's all you would be doing, and then the edges would be all wobbly because you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I've known how to crochet a long time. And so it was something where it was like not that hard for me to pick back up. Oh, I found more of them. They were wrapped up in my knitting. So more granny squares. And I've actually been trying to weave in the ends as I go so that I am not stuck doing it at the end. So I'm making granny squares. The pattern that I am using, because there's like a lot of different ways you can make a granny square, is I've been watching the channel Passionate. And so Passionate is ending with knit, like K-N-I-T. Passionate Kelsey. She is a channel and she has a crochet slash knitting business. So a lot of the stuff that she makes, she actually sells on her store, but she also has tutorials, and so she has a tutorial on how she does her granny squares. And I really liked it because I've done granny squares before where when you start like your next round, you do a chain 3, and so I've done those before, but she does a stacked single crochet, which I think I like better. And so, you know, you just learn more techniques when you watch different channels that you did not know before. And then I was looking out for blankets for knitting. I had thought about just knitting a straight, just like knit long rows back and forth blanket, but I also knew that would probably be kind of boring. And when you have shorter pieces of yarn that can't go as far, you know, you're kind of different, end up with different widths of stripes. I had also seen a lot on Ravelry the mitered square knit blankets. So at first I was really intimidated by them, and then when I was on YouTube I saw there was a channel that's called Anna Knitter, and she does a full tutorial on her squares for the mitered knit blankets, and it made it really easy to do them. She shows you how to join the squares, because for this blanket you are actually picking up stitches for each one so they're connected as you go, so you don't have to sew them together at the end. And yeah, she just gives you like all like little like tips and tricks on how to do things. And then she also kind of shows you like the proper way to do them, or if you want to do like the easy ways that might not look as neat, but it's easier, which I liked to see, because a lot of people, I've seen some people when they pick up the stitches where they're actually getting like a crochet hook to pick up in like the little like bumps, and I am not someone who wants to do something that fiddly. So yeah, my picking up is not as neat as it could be, but it gets the job done, and I just really like this. And so when I started this, one of the things I did is I used a little scale and I weighed my first couple squares to figure out how many grams of yarn it took to make each square. I think it's like 3.5-ish, so I try and make sure that as long as I have 4 grams of yarn, I will have enough to do a square, and it's gotten me to use up some of my yarn. So like this pink one here, I completely used it up. So I made this square on my knit blanket, and then I had just enough to do 1 round of my granny square, and then it was gone. And so I was able to completely use up that color of yarn, and I felt really happy whenever I get to finish some yarn. So I know these projects are going to be like really long ongoing projects because I am trying to make blankets, but I'm fine with that because it's something where even if I'm working on it in like a year or two, I could finish a different knit project and then have more yarn to go into this, and it will be a fun way to like remember the things I made. Because like these yarns, I remember that these yarns were from my first sweaters that I knit. I made a raglan tee with this one. I also used this in my Soldatna tee from Caitlin Hunter. I made a tank top out of this pink one, and so it's just fun to look back and know where these yarns went. I made my kids hats with these 2 yarns, so you can, you know, like I said, it's just a fun way to be like, look at what else I did with these yarns. And so there are my blankets that I have started. And the last thing I'm going to do is spin the wheel to pick my projects. I need to pick a project for today, which is Friday. I need to pick a project for tomorrow, which is Saturday, and then a project for Sunday. And then Monday I will be able to come back and film and spin the wheel again. So the one change I made to spinning the wheel this time is that I made some of the sections larger. So Autumn Harmony and the Haid Stitch Along have a larger section because they need more stitches done. So I will show, you can see the sections there are larger. So that's Autumn Harmony, the Haid Stitch Along. So hopefully they will get picked more often if they have a larger section. So let's see, the first one that is picked is Festive Frosted Pumpkin Cottage by Witchy Stitcher. So I have that, Festive Frosted. I need to remember that though so I don't forget. Autumn Harmony was picked. And we'll do the last one. Boom. And the Haid Stitch Along. So you just saw Autumn Harmony and the Haid Stitch Along, so I will not pull those out again, but I will get Festive Frosted out real quick. And that one only needs 528 stitches to meet the monthly goal on it, so that one should hopefully be able to be done quickly. Here is my starting point, which I am right now stitching all the black, so I will be stitching more black at the bottom somewhere. All right. That is all that I have for this video though. I will hopefully be back in a normal amount of time. Hopefully on Monday I will be recording my next clip, and then you would see that in about a week. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I hope you all are doing well, and I will see you then. Bye.